Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for joining me. Today I want to work on our little bird. Now I want to paint it in thread, which seems to be a sentence I'm saying a lot lately. So pretty much we've got an image, whether it be a flower or a bird, whatever, and we select threads to paint it with, needle and thread. So let's get our needle here. I really could do with something with a slightly bigger eye just to make it a little easier. But the smaller eye is actually pretty good to work with because the thread doesn't fall out easily. So you're sort of in a catch-22, aren't you? Now, what are we going to do with our little bird? I think the first thing I want to do is deal with the blue. So I need to come up with a solution for the blue. Got a couple ideas. We could stitch it with a bit of pink in it. We could overlay some lace in there. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that's my style. I incorporate lace and things into anything I really do. But I'm wondering if I'll use the lace in the wing, because wings are great for that type of thing. You can sort of hunt through your laces and find things that have linear lines or curves or scallops that really help sell the idea that it's a wing. If I did do a piece over that blue, it would have to be fairly dense, and to cover the blue, like I could stitch the blue in cream to make that disappear, but I wonder if I've got a lace that's dense enough, or do I just do pink? Who knows? Here we go. We're on a journey now. Who knows where we will go with this? I'm just going to have a rummage through my lace scrappy basket first. There might be something here, there might not be. I sort of want quite a dense. That'd be odd if I could make a bird body out of that. No. So you've got to be careful you don't lose the shape of your little bird in the attempt to make it look interesting. You distort your bird. Admittedly, it's our bird. We can make it look however we want, but I'm not seeing anything here jumping out at me. Everything's got lots of little holes in it, all these little bits and pieces. I probably should have looked a little deeper. What's that? That's got embroidery on it already. No, I think we'll do a pinky tone on the little bird and then use lace on the wings, and we'll stitch in under his body. I think. Yeah, I think. Okay. Let's choose a cotton or a wool. We sort of want to show a little bit of tone in the bird. Oh, I have some ribbon in here. Well, that'd be fun. We could use the ribbon. Oh gosh, heading off on another idea now. Where is some cream? Here we go. This. Just bear with me. Just trying to visualize the bird. I do like the idea still of lace, but we could do ribbon on his wings lace on his tail just to break him up a bit. If I can't find a piece of lace, I've got the ribbon to fall back on. We can do browns and creams on his tummy. Maybe where that orange is, we do this and then go darker in under his wing where that shadow is. And then across the top of him, we do the wool pink. And where those little lines are, we bring in the dark pink. That's sort of one plan. Let's have a look at this pink. And we might work around the top of his head and see what it sort of looks like and decide on our stitches. I'd say it'll be long and short stitch. My guess is I shouldn't make them too big because he's so little. If you had a big bird, you can really, you know, do some good strokes of the needle and get some. I'm going to start where the beak, I'll just zoom in. I'll start where the beak meets the face or the head. Don't think they have faces, do they? And I'm just going to put a little stitch there. Oh, it's getting awkward to do because it's getting big and you don't want to be too heavy-handed with it because there's little stitches and morsels everywhere. But you need access for your hand. Oh, now that's come out. See the benefits of having a smaller eye. I'm going to go back to that needle, especially when I'm filming. I know it's a pain to, well, it's not even the one. A pain to watch me thread the needle every couple strokes. It's quicker, but it falls out. Okay, so we've got some little itty bitty feathers happening here. So I'm going to keep my stitches fairly small, I think, because he's only little. And I'm just going to scoot around that dark little bit there because that dark bit we will pop in there a darker thread. And it doesn't have to be this other wool. We could go back to stranded cotton. It gives it a nice little change of detail when you pop a stranded cotton in. Now I'll try to stitch as fast as I can. Quite a few of you are wanting to see start to finish on embroidering the bird or embroidering something like this scenario. But it is an hour of, you know, potentially boring things for others. So if you want to just see how we went and what we achieved, just scoot straight to the end and you'll see where we're at. My guess is it will be 2 videos. It'll take 2 hours. Now, there's a bit of toning of the darkness on the top of his head, so we might follow the lead of the designer of the bird. Now, as I start the next row of stitches, I'm just going to bury my stitch up into the previous. It just sort of helps blend the stitches. If I was to go in right next to where the other one went in, like the first stitch above it, you'd get that line. And we sort of just want it to all blend together. Okay, yeah, I think that's going to work. Where there's chocolate, there will be a darker thread. Where there's blue, we're going to use this thread. You can always come back and add other colours. Once you get this base down, you can come back and pop a few more little colours around. The other option is where there's chocolate, we could add a lighter colour. You don't have to go dark, just because the designer did. So I'm just coming in now across the top of the cheek. There's a little bit of chocolate there coming out from the eye in there. So I'm going to leave that gap and just slide my stitch in below it. And then we might sneak up here to the top of it. And being that we're doing a bird with feathers, it's a really good idea to try and keep your feathers all laying the one way. So just imagine them on the bird. I've been thinking about this little guy all night. I've been just wanting to get out here and do it. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I just knew I was embroidering a bird today. So I was like waking up all through the night, just sort of, I don't know, just a bit of a restless night. And the first thing that would pop into my head is it time to go and do the bird. I'm just insane. Crazy girl. That's what happens with me. Constantly thinking about these types of things. It's crazy. Thinking about a new project for you. We finished Percy the Peacock and just can't decide what to do next. And I'm thinking it's because I've got so much work here that I sort of want to free myself up a window that I can actually put this piece away and then just focus on a new piece. I think that's what's going on in my brain. So once I get, I'm pleased I got this flower over here done. So I think once I get this bird done and the tree that he's in, that will give me a bit of a break from the piece and I can go and start a new project. We've got a few ideas. So I'm sort of not sure what I'm going to do next. I don't want them to be too big because there's a lot of work here still. So I just want them to maybe 5 videos just to break up the garden stitchery project, something else for me to think about. Not too long, that's going to take forever, that you guys get sick of looking and waiting. So yeah, I actually probably need a day where I don't stitch at all and I just focus on thinking, you know what I mean? Because every time I think of something, I'm like, oh no, I should go and do the bird. It's like having so many projects on the go. You get that feeling that you've got to finish at least something, which I know I will because I'm motivated due to the channel. Now that I'm just looking at this little bird, we've got his little head in place and then we've got this dark little bit here where the designers put these upward strokes. Then they've changed into the blue again with some little curves. I'm just wondering if we pop a different colour there. That pink is very dark and moody. And I think if I go any lighter, I'm going to find any darker. I might find that it's too dark. So I just want to stop for a moment. Have I got a wool in the cream? I just want to grab something out of here that I might do for the top of his head. I don't think I'll use this. Oh, maybe I will. I could use something like that. And I've got that. That tends to blend too much and it'll look like the background. This is very pink. This is very brown. Maybe I will go with this. Just a few little stitches to highlight him around his face. Yeah, all right. I'm going to take a little bit of this. It really is trial and error. Once you start, you'll soon see if something's a little bit strong or needs to be lightened up. Being that we're on the top of his head, I'm thinking I need to bring a little bit of light up there. Like he's a dark, moody bird because that's the fabric. But we don't want him that dark on our fabric. He's got to blend in with this pink and red and cream forest. I'm going to change the direction of the stitch too, just to create a different feel, like his little feathers are sticking up on the top of his nose. You know, sometimes they have those little tufts. Well, there's so many birds out there. I'm just going to put 3 or 4 little upward stitches there. Like so. And then we'll carry on over the top of his head with some of these. I think this will set the tone for the bird now. The other thing is I'm losing my line here because this thread is cream and the bird is sitting on cream. I've just lost the head shape. So what I'm going to do is have to outline him across the top there with something a little darker, I think. Let's get these few stitches in and we'll... Oh, this is so cack-handed. You have no idea. I'm going to get a little close up to you guys and really get you in the back between your shoulders. So I'm just going to put a few little stitches there because I think I need something else to sit up there as well. No, I think it's going to have to be a pink because the little bird's fabric that he is on is the colour that I've just selected. But I do want this little bit of detail up here. We might go into the pink area and catch that little bit that was left behind there. Like so. So it'll just provide a little bit of detail. I might even drop a couple little stitches around the back of his eye while we're here. Just a couple in here. Can't hurt. And we might pop a few here going forward. So it's really just having a look at each little spot and having a think about how light moves. Are you getting too dark and you're losing the features of your little bird? Maybe you want your features of your little bird to blend away so, you know, they're barely there. That's also something else to consider. It's just about little strokes, just like you would with painting. Okay, I wonder if we do his little chest here in the cream. No, because we'll lose the line there, I think. I think we'll end that little bit off. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself and regret placing a colour somewhere. Okay. So we've done around his eye. We've got to sort out the top of his head. Do we bring that chocolate in? Start working a little bit of that across the top of his head. Or do we bring in another pink? That's so fine, that'll take us forever. I have a lighter pink. This is an old thread. It doesn't like being dragged through fabric. It tends to break down, but it's so pretty. It is very similar to that, so sometimes you can't even tell that you've changed thread. I'm wondering if I can use this pink actually down here. Yeah, see that, because it's got a shine on it, that's holding up against the backdrop, the cream fabric that the actual bird was printed on. It's actually holding its own there. It's nice and thick, so it's standing up. It's got a luster about it. So it looks like it's actually there. Nothing worse than stitching a section in and you barely notice it. It's so disheartening. It's like, oh, I could have gone darker. I could have been a bit more bolder. So what have you all got planned for the weekend? I've got nothing planned, absolutely nothing. And it feels good. If I achieve some washing, that'd be about the best I want to do. I just feel like I've been racing around all week and I just need a day of nothing. I have to pick up the pace here a bit. My little pink bird needs to get cracking. Oh, come on. Oh, it's getting thick. That's the thing with this type of stitching, is it gets thick and dense and gets harder to drag your needle through. It's so worth it, but it really is the definition of slow stitch, but because it just takes time to get all those little stitches in. Might not be for everybody. I'm trying to hide the fact that there is chocolate behind there, but I can sort of just see it. And it actually doesn't look too bad. It's like creating a bit of depth to the area. No, that's too much depth. I can see the chocolate background. That's better. I'm just slowly working my way, as in slowly working my way, down this little chest under the beak of the little bird. Now you can always, when you're doing this type of thing, you might find that your bird or your flower, there's sections of it that really match your piece. Well, you don't have to stitch at all. You can just do highlight stitching. Once we start doing all the pinks and the creams and that, we might look at this bird and go, well, that orange chest actually works with the overall piece. I'm not sure yet. We do have a little bit of mustard popping up around the place with the scarecrow and the pumpkin. So you just never know. You sort of just need to pick away at all the areas that you just do not work or you do not like, get them sorted, and then see what's left. But you do not have to stitch the whole thing. That's looking really good. I like that. I'm still not convinced it's the right colour for the top of the head, mind you. We're getting to the end of that. How to fill a video with 20,000 stitches. Riveting viewing for you guys. Just going to finish off this thread. I can always finish that section off camera because you know where I'm heading with it. That's no big surprise when I get back and that's done. I think that's what we want to avoid, is I come back and the whole thing's done. So I'm going to have to just pace myself. So we're getting this nice glistening little under the beak section due to this silky ribbon that I'm cotton that I'm using here. Probably get to the end of what I can get out of this. I'll do one more stitch and then we'll end it off. Okay. All right, just as my neck was starting to cramp. So let's finish that little guy off so I can carry on and stitch that little bit of chocolate, and that won't matter too much. You will not be missing much there. Now the top of the head, I really feel like I need to bring another pink in, to be honest, of the wool. Where are the rest of the wool threads? There's one. Let's try this guy. Remember, if you don't like it, just snip it out. Okay. Do I start at the top of the head? No, I'm just going to come back a bit. But go to the top, it might make it look quite bulky up there. So let's just slither those stitches down that side. Try not to be too thick at the very top because it'll distort the shape of his little head. But I am going to sneak back up there and try and get another stitch in, because I can see the chocolate. Yeah, that's better. Okay, so maybe I follow the line of the head down. Yeah, that's good. follow it down, right down here. To the base of that neck on the back. You probably can't even see the stitches. It's very subtle. Let me just try and zoom in a fraction more. That's the best we're going to get. It's very subtle there. It'll look better once we get rid of that brown, I think. If we find that the feathers don't look, or the top of the head doesn't look defined enough, we can always come through with a darker, finer thread and do a little bit of outlining. You know, when you see those watercolours, then they come back through with a black pen and just touch in some details. We can do that as well here. But we'll see how we go. It might just help the bird to pop a little bit more. I tend to find that with watercolour that they do ink. It just helps you really see that that is a flower or a bird or a cat, because they've gone in and added nearly a sketch over the top of it. Or you can do the same thing with this as well. I'd probably use a chocolate, and I'd do the beak, and then maybe drop some stitches around the back of his head there, just to sort of get this shape happening if you feel like you've lost it a little bit. This will blend nicely with that pink of his, around his top of his head and his eye. I find it hard to pre-plan too many colours when I'm doing this. I tend to just pick a little area and see how it goes, and then that area dictates the rest, if that makes sense. So don't think you've got to pre-plan every thread and stitch out like they do with those kits that you can buy that have everything all worked out. You don't have to do that. Just feel your way. And if you do not like the section you've just stitched, you've got two options: cut it out, remove it, or stitch over it. That's the beauty of this type of stitching. If the colour is not strong enough, well, you might be able to just stitch over the top. You often find that gives you a beautiful effect, because you might still see a hint of the colour you first laid down. So it just sort of adds that depth. You know, when you look at some animals and you see the fur colour, but when you really look, you can see that there's a different colour underneath it all, or even the one strand of fur has 3 different colours on it, from the tip right through to the depth into the fur. Okay, so I'm just going to try and sneak another one up there into that pink, just so it feels like it blends a little more and it's not just a straight line where I've changed. Trying very hard to keep this in shot for you, but he's coming along. I'm happy with that. I don't even mind that chocolate in there and not stitch it, you know, let the designer's shading happen in there. It actually looks pretty good with this copper, doesn't it? You get rid of that blue. That's quite pretty. I guess plan B, if I can't find some coppery tones for this, we can use the colours that are on the fabric. So I love that cream that they've put in under the eye there. It's real soft. Well, I'm sort of getting to the base of that head now. And I've got to decide 2 things. Are we going to change the direction of stitch? Because now we're coming across the back. I probably could get one more in there. I think we need to. And I think I need to do a similar thing where we get the darker colour in first and then bleed back to the lighter colour, is my feeling. So I've only got a little bit of wool left. I might now come to the back of him and stitch stitch back this way. And change the grain. Come in this way. I'll just use the last of it and I'll lay down all of those stitches along his back. So if you're out and about in fabric stores, keep your eyes open for fabrics that have good birds and good flowers, nice big open images. If they're too small, they're really tricky to stitch because you start losing the definition of the bird because you're having to paint it and your threads are thicker than what the designers use. It can be a bit tricky. So just keep that in mind with size. Now I'm just skirting around that chocolate whoosh of colour there. I just feel like that's a detail that maybe I should embrace in a thread colour. So I'm just, because remember we're all about getting rid of the blue first and adding in the pink. So I'm just going to scoot back towards, I haven't got much thread left, back towards the bird's centre, but I'm avoiding that chocolate. I don't want to cover it in yet. Probably only got one more stitch anyway. So let's finish that off. That'll give a little bit of light to his shoulder by bringing that pink in there. Okay. Now, I might go back to this pink. That was what we used around his head. No, we didn't. That's darker. Maybe we could put a bit of dark. Just a little bit. This is variegated, but it's not going to change the variegation of colour quick enough, I think, for me. But what we might do is we might just sneak a little bit of this darker pink in on that chocolate. That'll drift into the copper. Just a few little stitches as like a little, I don't know, a stripe on the side of the bird. It may not be as noticeable because the next pink, the one we used on the top of his head, might be too similar, but I'm going to give it a go. We'll put this little stripe in here. We could always do them through there as well, but I don't know, I'm not convinced yet. So we're just putting that. Having to work left-handed too. I'd have to turn the work around and put him upside down to get it right for my hands, but it's all good. doesn't hurt to have the brain use both hands. I've got one underneath pushing it through, one on top pulling it, so I still feel like I'm keeping control of my needle. I feel a bit cack-handed when you first get started, but the brain does sort of muscle memory. Oh, let's get it back up. So now I'm just scooting down. This is sort of an area between the copper and the green, the blue that I'm working here, like a seam. And I think that'll help the two areas to blend. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that, just that little line there, if you can see that. It's not much, but I think it might be worth doing. So let's end that off. Now, I'm going to go back to the pink from the top of the head. I'm going to pick up under his eye there. There's a little bit of chocolate in there. I'm going to avoid that and just work the blue, because I can see the blue easily and it is definitely the right spot for this pink. So I should be able to just stitch that in. The only thing I need to have a think about is this chocolate wish across the back of his, you know, are we going to make that chocolate, or are we going to, let's get my hands comfortable, or are we going to leave it? I don't know. It's looking good. Just making the blue disappear, I think, is going to make it really come together quite quickly, to the point of this copper, I believe, is going to stay as it is. And we're just going to enhance him a little with the pinks. Just scooting between those chocolate strokes at the moment. I'll just see what that looks like. Because I can always come back with a chocolate thread and place them back in there if they look good with this pink. Or I cover it in. I don't really want to cover it in, I don't think. It might look too blocky. It'll look like a big block of pink sitting there. It's a nice little detail, that little marking. I like how it's forced my threads in a singular line too. That's a different effect. Instead of it being overlapped and dense, I've got two little lines there of stitches, and I don't mind that actually. I probably wouldn't have thought to do that within the area to create a different sort of shading. I might just put a couple more stitches in here. I can still see the tone of the blue. Okay, now I'm working back through here. Now we're coming up to the hour rather fast. So I do want to pick up a brown and just do a little bit of work on that colour. And then that will set me up to finish the back of the bird. That you won't be missing much if I then just stitch in the last of this blue. And if the brown looks like it's going to work as a little highlight in there, I can do that as well, because there's these upward turned feathers here where the artist has stroked up. Oh, you're not even on camera. I'm so sorry, guys. Oh my goodness, let's get myself back into position. It's because my neck and back is starting to cramp up, so I'm sort of pulling it all towards myself. We're nearly there. So what I was talking about is, see those upward strokes there? I think they need to be highlighted as well. And I'm wondering if I can find a chocolate thread. Don't tell me I've unthreaded that. I might get a couple more stitches of this in, and then we'll get the chocolate thread out. And if I can find one that has a bit of a shimmer, like I did with the around the face, it might just break it up a little bit. So I'm working my thread back up here. Like I said earlier, I'm bringing the needle up in the threads I've already laid down so that it blends and doesn't look like a distinct line as I work my way back up the bird's body. I'm running out of thread. I've probably got 2 more stitches left. Don't rush, Corrine, because I'll end up putting a stitch where I don't like it. Take my time. You guys would have tuned out by now if you weren't interested. We've got the diehards left at this stage. This riveting stitching. Come on, up you come in the right spot. There we go. This thread just keeps going. All right, I'll do a straight line. That should be a bit faster. That'll get rid of this thread. I will need a few little tufts of pink to be down in amongst those upward stitches. But we'll finish this off. In a straight line, and we can always come back between the chocolate. And I think whatever chocolate colour we pick, that will be the highlight for the beak. And if we want to put a few little stitches in around the eye, the next thread I select will be that thread. A little bit of blue there. I can lay a little stitch in there. Like, it's time consuming, this is certainly not for everybody, but it is fun. It's slow and takes time. It's very rewarding when you look back at your picture and you've completely adjusted it. I tell you what else is annoying me on this piece is there were some flowers I painted weeks ago and I didn't do the leaves. They were a grey tone and I didn't have a lot of grey anyway, so I sort of shied away from mucking around with them because I was worried that my colours that I owned didn't work. Well, those grey leaves, I keep looking at them. So I need to make a decision about potentially stitching them in because they just don't look right. Let's have a look in here for some chocolates. What do we got here? This is a good chocolate. Is it too strong, too wide, too big? It might be all right on those wings. I can always find a stranded cotton that would match that because I know there is one, and then break it down into 2 or 3 strands to do finer work with the chocolate. But this might be really good for some nice big feathers coming up. Okay, let's get our hands into position. Yep. Yes, yes, yes. I'm going to need a little bit of pink in there as well still. I can still see blue. And that'll work well because it will break up the big chocolate feathers that I'm putting in here now. I'm doing them in one big stroke. And I'm doing 2 stitches by the looks of it. I need 2 stitches per stroke. Oh, I like that. You probably can't see the effort I'm going into here with this chocolate because it really is blending. It'll pop more when I have a bit more pink around it, I believe. But the blue is still there, so you should be able to see what I'm up to. I think I'll leave it at that because the next feather goes across instead of up. So that to me feels like that could be something else, potentially some ribbon in there. Okay, so now I might just scoot my needle back out here and use the remaining thread and sneak back towards the front of the bird with some stitches. And that should get rid of the last of the blue. Plus we've got chocolate underneath, so it sort of helps bring that detail back into the piece. Some little stripes on him, like a wren. Has some little stripes across them. keep catching the fabric behind. It's a disaster waiting to happen. I stitched my bloomin' skirt to the piece the other day. I was just stitching away, and then I thought, gee, it feels like there's a bit of tension there. What's going on? And I lifted it up, and there were 3 stitches holding my skirt into the piece. It's like, oh, goodness me. I've now got a French garden attached to me. So that's about the end of that thread. So I'm going to do one more stitch in there. You guys can't see again. I've dragged it off. I moved my chair back, therefore my bottom followed. And we're out of shot. There we go. So I've done the chocolate line there, and I've done the upward chocolate stroke. So I will thread up again, and I'm going to do another chocolate line, and then I'm going to put a little bit of chocolate over here where that dark pink meets the light pink. Have I got enough thread to get me there now? Yes, I do. So I'm just going to do a little chocolate. I hope it doesn't stand out that much that it looks like a dot, a big black brown dot. Nope, it's just a little, no, that's good. Just a little stitch there. It's only one, but it's just a little something. Okay, so we're coming up to the hour. What I will do is I will finish the chocolate on the top of the bird's shoulder up here. I'll bring another line of chocolate through there, and that's about all I'll do, I think. I won't do anything else there. I will pick up the really silky one that we used earlier, and I'll finish underneath his neck, and I will use this one to finish the last of the blue there, and then we'll come back in the next video and we might have a play with this ribbon here. And if I'm going to do some lace up through here, I'll need to have a hunt and see if I can find something. Or maybe we lace some lace in over the shoulder joint there, and then the ribbon comes out underneath. Oh, I like that idea better. That's very straight there, so I'm thinking the tail feathers just with the ribbon up there. But anyway, that's the next video. I will sit here and finish the last few little bits here, then I'll turn the camera back on and carry on. I've got a few hours this morning, so I'm determined to get this bird well and truly underway. All right, guys, I will see you all in the next video. Bye for now.